Hey, what's up, everybody? Ralph here. So in this video, I wanted to talk about the difference between being rich versus being wealthy. I know a lot of people tend to have the idea, tend to think that both terms are one and the same, but in reality, there are like certain distinct differences between the two. And in this video, I'm gonna go over like five of those things. So let's start with the first one. I like to look at it this way. When it comes to being rich is something that you can see. Versus being wealthy is something that you don't see. If you look at rich people, they tend to like want to have flashy clothes. They like to wear the jewelry, the watches, the nice cars, the big house. And wealthy people, not to say that they don't buy these things, but you tend not to really see that. All right. Because when it comes to rich people, they tend to be consumers, and wealthy people tend to focus on ownership. So when you look at a rich person, they'll buy all these different things because, you know, they need to show people that they have money. Wealthy people really don't focus on that. They really don't care. They tend to wear regular clothes. They wear regular watches, and obviously they probably have a nice house, but you tend to not really see people that are wealthy beyond their means. And they really don't, that's not what they're focused on. They're focused on acquiring things that help them build wealth over time. So when you're looking at the difference between a rich person and a wealthy person, you may think one person that doesn't have any money, but in reality, you see their net worth and it's like, wow, all right, they clearly have money, but you just wouldn't know it. But rich people, they tend to see that. And you can see that with like entertainers. Like they make sure they have the watch, the gold chains, the jewelry. They let you know that they got money. But wealthy people, they understand that that's not where the focus is. All right, so just think of it that way. Well, being rich is something you can see. Being wealthy is something that you don't see. All right, so the second thing, rich people tend to work for money. Wealthy people have money work for them, right? And that's something that's really important, because if you think about rich people, whether it's a athlete or an actor, in order to make their money, to make their riches, they have to work for that income. So if they stopped working, they wouldn't make that money. These are rich people. Wealthy people, they tend to have assets that work for them, whether it's in stocks, real estate, or a business. All right. So the money that they're making doesn't require their attention, or doesn't require that they be there. So that's one of the most important things in understanding that the difference between rich and wealthy people. Rich have to work for their money. They have to put in the hours. They gotta perform. Wealthy people build systems so that money's working for them, because they understand that as an individual, as a person, you can only work so hard. Right. And as we get older, we're not gonna want to work more. Right. So you have to find a way to create a system where the money that you're making doesn't require you to be there. You got to put your money to work. All right. So rich people tend to work for their money. And as long as they're working, they're making money. But if they stop, so does the money. Wealthy people understand that even if they stop working, that money is still being made even while they sleep. All right. So number 3, rich people tend to think short term. Wealthy people think long term. Right. So rich people have this tendency to like, oh, you know, YOLO. You only live once, so you gotta enjoy the moment and make sure that the money that you have, you spend it. And that's a good way to think, because like you said, you never know when, you know, it's your time to leave this earth. So and most people understand that, but you never know. A lot of people, I mean, you gotta understand that you could live a long time. So rich people have this tendency to be like, all right, you know, they think short term. They think of all the houses they can buy. Like they have the money coming in now, so I'm gonna buy the nice house, buy the nice jewelry. I'm gonna buy all these nice things because you never know how long it's gonna last. Wealthy people tend to think long term, because they understand that you can live a long time, and as you get older, all right, you don't want to have to be working. You know, you want to make sure things are working for you. So you have to have a long-term approach when it comes to building wealth. So that's why, and that's why when some people, when they want to make money quick, they're like, all right, I gotta make fast money. That's a rich way of thinking. But wealthy people say, all right, I have to build a foundation that's going to help me, that's going to sustain me for my rest of my life. Not just my life, but my children's life and those around me, those around them. So you have to think differently when it comes to like building wealth, because building wealth takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. All right. It's almost like you have to plant seeds in a garden and watch it grow. Rich people, they can make that fast money quick, and it sustains them for that moment, but over time they quickly lose the money. So I think that's an important thing to understand, that rich people think short term, wealthy people think long term. All right. So the fourth thing, all right, the rich people tend to spend more money than they make. Wealthy people, they tend to save more than they spend. Right? So think of it this way, right? You see a lot of people, just regular people, when it comes to like money, they say that they don't, at the end of the month, they don't have any money because people tend to spend more than they make. And that's the same, and people think that if you make like 50,000, that's the case for people that make, 50,000, but that's also the case for people that make millions, right? If you look at athletes, they make $1 million, but they tend to buy the $1 million house, the $500,000 car, and they're spending more than they make. And then by the time their career is done, they're in debt, but wealthy people do it differently. They make a certain amount of money and they'll save more than they spend because they understand the wealth. When it comes to building wealth, saving is very important. Saving that money and investing it. Right? You got to think differently when you're talking about money. All right. So when you look at it that way, most people get in trouble because they don't have a accurate account of where their money is going. So they'll make a certain amount, but they're spending more than they make, which is why at the end of the month they don't have any money. But wealthy people think differently. They understand that, they take that income and then boom, a certain percentage goes into savings and investment, and then whatever's left, then they can spend it. But wealthy people tend to save more than they spend. All right, as opposed to rich people when they're spending more than they save. All right, and the last thing, when it comes to debt, rich people use debt differently than wealthy people. Right, rich people tend to use debt to get the things that they want. Like I said, consumerism. They want to get the car. They want to get a nice big house, watches, clothes. They'll use that debt to get things that they want. Wealthy people tend to use debt to acquire assets, whether it's buying real estate, which is probably the number one user of debt. But that debt is not something that they use that debt because they're buying like investment properties that are making them money. They don't just acquire debt just to acquire debt. They want to make sure if they're going to acquire debt, they want to make sure they're getting a good return on that investment. They're leveraging that debt to make more money. As opposed to rich people, they just get debt to buy things that don't appreciate in value over time. So you buy the clothes, the cars, the houses. These things over time don't bring any value except to make you look nice, and they let people know that you are rich. So the way you use debt is a big indicator of a person that's either rich or wealthy. And you'll see how both people move. Rich people use debt as a way to get the things that they like and to let people know that they have money. But wealthy people, they use debt a little bit differently. They make sure that whether it's using that debt to help build their business, or they're using that debt to get a piece of property that's going to help generate income. So I think that these 5 things are like the biggest differences that you can see when it comes to rich versus wealthy. And if you look at the things that I discussed, the number one thing that I talked about is rich is being something that you can see. People see rich. People see someone has money, but you don't tend to see a person that is wealthy because they don't like to showcase it. All right. So these are my 5 things. Hope you learned something from it. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I hope you gained some knowledge from this. And I tend to share. My goal is to share more things like this, and I hope you liked it. So again, if you hit the like button, share, subscribe, and if you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment down below. All right.